Howdy folks, monthly update for the start of October. Apologies, we're a little bit deeper into October than I would have liked for the monthly update, but let's have a talk about some of the big events that happened back in September and what are the current kind of bits of rugby news out and about. Thank you guys, as always, for being here. It is a great one to do the monthly update because I get to thank all the people for liking and subscribing and commenting and all the jazz that keeps the YouTube channel going. You may have noticed the channel is ticking towards 100,000 subscribers, which would be a pretty big milestone. I would love to get there. If you could help us out with a subscription, please do it. Don't usually ask at the start of the video, but here I am, shilling for YouTube. But yeah, we'll go through some of the stats and thanks for the month. This big 360 thing, which has got 8 of rugby's top unions bandied together to try to stop it, I guess. Jack Willis, Mark Nawaniitawase, and some other news. You guys can, as always, let us know your thoughts on everything. And as I said, thank you so much for being here. And throughout the month of September, if you were here in September, there's a good chance you watched the match review for the All Blacks getting hammered in Wellington. That was far and away the most successful, popular, engaging video of last month. Doesn't happen every day that the All Blacks get a record defeat, but it certainly gets the viewers in a lot more than when the All Blacks win, which I can understand. But yeah, it's a bit of a silver lining, I guess, for me that my team getting hammered gets more YouTube views and fingers crossed a few more subscribers. I don't know. It's a mixed feeling on that one, but hey, that was a record-breaking event and pretty newsworthy, I suppose. Also, stats-wise, you know, I love my stats on all the geographies and whatnot. South Africa's #1 by a big margin in September. Australia, UK, New Zealand, and then USA, interestingly, in 5th. The Solomon Islands were there as well, if I kind of scrolled all the way down the list. And you know, I love to look at what cities people are in because I always want to see, like, especially cities that I've never heard of. Cape Town was #1, Pretoria was #2, Auckland was #3. Those are kind of pretty standard ones. But then there's a place in South Africa called Polokwane, which was the bottom one on my list when I scrolled down without expanding to an Excel document. YouTube lets you scroll down for like the top 50 or something. So Polokwane, welcome to all our viewers from that part of the world or wherever you are watching. And also, interestingly, maybe because the Women's World Cup was on, but this is, I think, the first time we've ever had more than 10% female viewers. It's usually 90+% dudes. It was 89% dudes in September. So maybe the Women's World Cup balanced that out a little bit. I mean, 89 is still pretty emphatically men, but yeah, that just is what that is. As I said, thank you guys so much for being here. Also, thanks to the patrons who support the channel every month. YouTube can be a bit of a fickle beast, in particular in recent times where they are getting a bit funky with how their AI suggests videos to people and doesn't show some videos. Like if you've ever seen the podcast that I do with Tony from Distracted Sports, 2 Cents Gets Distracted because we swear in that one. Those videos, basically YouTube doesn't suggest them to people from what I've seen unless you're subscribed. I don't really know how it works. There's a lot of big channels that are complaining about it, but it affects a bit. So yes, thank you to the patrons who help out. It's a bit more stable and reliable than YouTube anyway, let's put it that way. Big thanks in particular to Jack and to Angus as well, but to all these people, if you want to join them and get a few extra videos every month, as if there weren't enough already, link down in the description to Patreon. Join along, support the channel. Or also, I should say a big thanks to all the people who bought me a beer recently, because it was my birthday last weekend. Thanks to my dad and mum for buying me that France jersey, by the way. That was my birthday present. They know me too well. But yeah, people who did the buy me a beer thing for my birthday. Thank you, folks, as well. Very, very kind. That's it, I think, for the stats and thanks. Let's get to this 360 thing. Rugby 360, Mike Tyndall, Rebel League, heaps of money. Seems to be a big threat to the game. Well, that's unified 8 of rugby's top unions: the Scots, the South Africans, the Aussies, the French, Irish, New Zealanders, English, and Italians. When was the last time all these guys got on board on the same side of a particular issue? Well, Rugby 360's imminent threat apparently has got these guys to combine to say that if you play for Rugby 360, you're not going to be eligible for Test rugby, so you can't play for any of these countries. For New Zealand, it's virtually no change to the status quo, because in New Zealand you have to be playing you have to be signed for a New Zealand team anyway to be eligible for the All Blacks. So there's no change. Likewise, I guess for England, there's no real change there. I know France generally only selects guys from the top 14. They chose Slimani recently, which was a bit of an outlier. Likewise, Ireland pretty much has a 100% locally based squad. But yeah, some countries have more strict rules than others. The Box are quite happy to pick guys from all over the world, but it's not going to include 360. Likewise, the Wallabies with their more recent policy change, it's not going to include 360. Scotland pretty open with where they pick their players from, but not 360. So I guess that does show how serious these unions are taking the potential threat. I am still waiting for kind of more information to come out about this competition to see how it's actually going to go. But if there's one thing we do know, that if the money is there, the people will go. Maybe not initially, but they will get people there if they can get the money. Now, whether the competition is successful or not, assuming it gets off the ground and it's financially viable, I mean, it seems like it doesn't matter if they've got kind of sugar daddies who are doing the thing anyway, but if the money is there, eventually the athletes are going to go. I'm old enough to remember when Manchester City got bought out and everyone was saying big players aren't going to want to sign there because they want to win trophies, they want to be playing on a good team. Well, it didn't take that long. It took a few years, but it didn't take that long for them to start getting some of the big guns, did it? If the money is there, the people will go. That is just a fact of life, and that's business, isn't it? How many of us wouldn't change roles if you were getting offered double or triple your current salary, right? That's just the way the thing goes. Obviously, these 8 unions uniting to try to hold off some of these guys from signing, at least initially, will probably be a bit of a road bump for 360, because there might be guys who would be on the fence who wouldn't sign because they don't want to throw away their test career. But if it does get off the ground, I would imagine the first year is going to be fringe guys. I don't want to use the word has-beens, but you know what I mean, like guys who are a bit past their prime. Those would be your optimal guys, potentially some big names, and then they build from there. But we will see. I'm not convinced the thing's going to get off the ground. It still feels a bit dodgy. It feels like there's a scam coming, but I don't know. We'll wait and see if it gets off the ground or not. But certainly these guys are trying to put a roadblock to that. Jack Willis gets top 14 player of the year. Wouldn't England like to have him playing for them? If not for some eligibility criteria, they might be able to. But I guess that's another example of a player going, I mean, the money's probably pretty good. He's plays for a cracking club in Toulouse, and he's sacrificed his test career for it. So, as I said, people make decisions for more than just their test careers. Jack Willis is a prime example of that, but it's great to see him in such form in the top 14. It's not a competition that I watch week in, week out, unfortunately, but yeah, it seems to be, in terms of club rugby, the biggest competition in the world at the moment. It's going from strength to strength, and I can see why he is enjoying his time there. So congratulations to him. And then in Aussie rugby, again, another one that's maybe guys against the kind of flip of this test rugby argument. Mark Nawani-Tawase and Carter Gordon are both being linked with returns back to rugby union. These are both guys who did sacrifice a test career to go play rugby league. Carter Gordon went to the Titans, and Mark Nawani-Tawase went to the Roosters in the NRL. Obviously, the NRL is a phenomenally popular competition. I think in terms of the pure numbers, it's bigger than any of rugby's club competitions. Its closest would be the top 14, but the numbers they get are unbelievable in that competition. Our league suffers with a not comparable international game, but the NRL is a massive, massive competition. So these guys gone there, made some money. Carter Gordon's had a bit of an injury-hampered time, unfortunately, so he's only played one game at NRL level, but Mark Nawani-Tawase seems to be going pretty well. However, the draw of a World Cup is still a big deal. And we've seen it with All Blacks guys in the past as well, who are willing to go spend a year in Japan, come back, or 2 years in Japan, but usually not during a World Cup year. So the World Cup and that test jersey is still a big draw. I mean, you see it with like the tier 2 teams, like the Pacific Nations Cup team for Samoa and the last World Cup team for Samoa are very different beasts. The draw of a World Cup will get guys to make sacrifices or change their plans or whatever. So both these guys who left Aussie rugby during a low, There's been a bit of a resurgence under Joe Schmidt, and then the draw of a home World Cup in 2027. That's potentially good news if both these guys get back into union. So yeah, it's a bit of a mixed one again, with part of my mind on Rugby 360, thinking about how players weigh up their futures. Is it just purely about the money? Do you want to go to a World Cup? Well, if you want to go to a World Cup, you can't play 360, that kind of thing. But anyway, you guys let us know your thoughts. How do you think 360 is going to go? Do you think it gets off the ground? Jack Willis, would you like to see him playing in England? League guys coming back to union, potentially a good sign, but then you got to wait to see after the next World Cup which guys from various unions jump ship as well. Thank you guys so much for being here, for subscribing, for liking, watching, all the usual YouTube jazz. Thanks to the patrons and people who bought me a beer and whatnot. Thanks to my dad for the jersey and my mum. Take care, guys, and I will talk to you guys again soon. See you later.